speaker today is Brian Stewart, one of our Pickaway County Commissioners. He's also a practicing attorney, a former councilman for the village of Asheville, and is an Iraq War veteran. After experiencing the horrors of 9/11 as a high school senior, Mr. Stewart felt called to serve his country. In 2003, he left his studies at The Ohio State University to enlist for active duty in the Army as an infantryman, shortly before the start of Operation Iraqi Freedom. After completing infantry school at Fort Benning, Georgia, Mr. Stewart volunteered for airborne school, earned his jump wings, and was then assigned to the 3rd Infantry Division at Fort Stewart, Georgia. He was soon deployed to the Sadr City area of Baghdad in Iraq as part of Operation Iraqi Freedom 3. During a year-long deployment in 2005, he conducted numerous combat patrols in Baghdad with his unit, Bravo Company, 315 Infantry Battalion. For his actions, Mr. Stewart earned the Combat Infantryman's Badge and was twice awarded the Army Commendation Medal before he was honorably discharged in 2006. Mr. Stewart remains active in military causes. After returning to college on the GI Bill, he served as president of the Military Law Students Association at the OSU Moritz College of Law. He advocated there for returning student veterans. He is also the vice president and spokesman for the Ohio Fallen Heroes Memorial in Sunbury, Ohio, which interacts with Gold Star families and maintains a marble marker for every Ohio service member killed in the line of duty since 9/11. He is a member of the VFW, AMVETS, Circleville Sunrise Rotary, and the Sons of the American Revolution Camp Charlotte chapter. In addition to his duties as Pickaway County Commissioner, Mr. Stewart is a partner in the law offices of Farthing and Stewart here in Circleville. He resides at Asheville with his wife LaTanya and 2 daughters, Salem and Sydney. Please join me in welcoming our Memorial Day speaker, Mr. Brian Stewart.
I'd like to thank Soldiers Monumental Association first for the privilege to speak here today on one of the most important holidays we observe as Americans. And before I go any farther, I want to echo the sentiments. Thank you to all of you for being here today. You honor these heroes with your presence. It's often said that on Memorial Day that we gather to honor the memory of the brave men and women of our armed forces who have given their lives in service to our country. I would encourage us, however, to look at Memorial Day in more personal terms. We gather on Memorial Day to honor heroes who left behind wives and husbands, sons and daughters, moms and dads. Many who never got the chance to start a family or pursue other dreams. We celebrate great lives cut far too short so that we may live and enjoy all the blessings that come with being an American. Memorial Day inspires us because it is these sacrifices of our heroes that have made us who we are as a country. Ours is a nation that was born out of war. Our freedom was secured on the battlefields of the Revolutionary War. Historians from this period have noted that beyond the Founding Fathers, the truest believers in the spirit of 1776 were the soldiers of the Continental Army themselves. Undertrained, underpaid, without even proper uniforms and equipment, they endured terrible casualties and hardships and won our freedom. Later, when the issue of slavery and long-simmering divisions threatened to destroy our country during the Civil War, it was victory on the battlefield that ultimately brought the seceded states back into the Union and began the healing of our country. These first American soldiers set the standard that has guided our armed forces ever since. Time and again throughout our history, American service members have answered our country's call and made enormous sacrifices in the defense of freedom and our American way of life. The numbers themselves are astounding. More than 6,000 Americans have been killed in the line of duty in Iraq and Afghanistan. 58,000 Americans died in Vietnam, 36,000 in the Korean War. More than 400,000 gave their lives in World War II. In so doing, these service members liberated millions of the oppressed, defended our nation, and fought the forces of communism, fascism, dictatorships, and terrorism. How blessed we are to live in a country that has given us heroes like these. Many of these heroes have been natives of Pickaway County. 46 local men were killed in the line of duty during World War II. Another 25 gave their lives in Vietnam. Pickaway County was also home to 2 heroes who gave their lives in Iraq and Afghanistan. PFC Kevin Ott and Specialist Gerald Jenkins volunteered for the Army in the years following 9/11. Having enlisted in the Army myself during those days, I can tell you there was no uncertainty sitting with your recruiter about what enlisting meant. It meant you were going to Iraq, or it meant you were going to Afghanistan, and sooner rather than later. Gerald Jenkins stepped forward to serve when he was just 17 years old. And at age 19, while he was serving in Afghanistan, he extended his enlistment by another 6 years. Kevin Ott had played football in college, and like so many America's volunteer service members, he did not have to enter the military. But in the wake of 9/11, he decided to answer the call, and he was killed in June 2003 in some of the early months of the Iraq War. We are blessed in this county with a strong tradition of making the extra effort to honor our heroes. From right here in this cemetery to the county courthouse to Memorial Hall, Pickaway County's fallen heroes are remembered with memorials birthed from the efforts of many local patriots. As one of your county commissioners, I believe this is a tradition that we must continue. And with that in mind, I was joined last week by my fellow commissioners, Harold Henson and Jay Whipple, in adopting a resolution stating our commitment to securing legislation from the Ohio General Assembly designating 2 separate portions of our roadways as memorials to PFC Ott and Specialist Jenkins with the appropriate accompanying signage. We've seen these memorials dedicated in other counties, and we believe it is time to secure the same honor for our heroes as well. Like many veterans who have served during wartime, the list of my own friends and brothers in arms who made the ultimate sacrifice is sadly far too long. And so sometimes when people hear about my background, they ask me, so how do you feel about Iraq? What they're really asking for is my answer to the question that's often asked about war. Was it worth it? All those lives lost, all those brave men and women disabled for the rest of their lives, was it worth it? Looking back at our history, sometimes we forget that America's wars have almost always been, to some degree, controversial. The politics of war has been with us as long as we've been a nation. But through it all, there has always been one constant: the American soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine, who has always accepted the challenge issued by one of the founders, Thomas Paine, who said that those who expect to reap the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigue of supporting it. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, I would humbly submit to you that my response to the question, was it worth it, is that answering the call of America in her time of need to fight and die for your country and the man by your side is always worth it. Finally, Memorial Day should serve as a challenge to each one of us. I'm proud to be an infantry veteran of the Iraq War, but like many other veterans here, I'm also very conscious of the fact that I'm blessed to have made it home when other great men did not. One of the best friends I've ever had was Sergeant Scott Lang Kirkpatrick. We called him KP. My eldest daughter is named Salem Lang Stewart. She's named after Scott. I'll never forget hearing the words, KP didn't make it. I've been able to start a family, to go to college, pursue a career. I have opportunities that KP and other fallen heroes will not. And so I feel a great responsibility to earn the privilege that's been afforded to me. to be worthy of the sacrifices made on my behalf. In short, to live a life that would make my own heroes proud. I think we all can do that. Memorial Day is our opportunity to honor and remember heroes who gave their lives in war so that we could live ours in peace. What will we do with this opportunity we have, which these heroes do not? What more could each of us give to our families, to our communities, to our church? Imagine how much good we could all accomplish if we would strive each day to be worthy of these lives given on our behalf. God's word tells us in John 15:13 that greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Remember these heroes, remember their families, and may God continue to bless America with those who are willing to fight and die to defend it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for a most inspiring Memorial Day address. Chaplain